Francesco Petrarca used the phrase Dark Ages in the 1300s because he thought that philosophy and writing had declined in the years after the fall of the Roman Empire. People are still interested in learning about the Dark Ages. The reason it's termed the Dark Ages is that, from the fall of Rome in 476 CE to roughly 1000 CE, very little writing was produced in Europe. The name Early Middle Ages is preferred by some modern historians. Much of the history of these 5 centuries has been lost, yet they set the groundwork for modern Europe. The great events are still preserved, but historians now have to turn to other sources, like archaeology, to learn about everyday life and culture. After Rome fell, there was no longer a single ruler in Western Europe, and the numerous factions started battling it out for supremacy. It was nothing new for wandering tribes to battle one another during the Dark Ages. Though the individuals who lived throughout the Dark Ages were not any more barbarous than those who lived before or after, some people today nevertheless think that period of history was terrible. However, because they were more focused on survival than on innovation or technological inventions, they were far less concerned with these things. Don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History for fascinating insights into the mysteries of the ancient world and captivating historical narratives. During the Dark Ages, Christianity brought Europe together. Christianity started out as a Jewish sect, but soon gained enough prominence to become independent. The harshness of the Roman persecution of Christians varied over a long period of time and was contingent upon the reigning emperor. The Edict of Milan, issued under Emperor Constantine I, put an end to the persecution of Christians. According to legend, Constantine stopped persecuting Christians after seeing a vision from Jesus just before marching into combat to seize the crown. Historians are unable to substantiate this tale. For a brief period, Christianity and the ancient Roman religion coexisted. In 380 CE, during the rule of Emperor Theodosius, Christianity was recognized as the official religion of the empire. Following the fall of the Roman Empire, more individuals became Christians. Though their doctrine differed from that of the Roman Christians, the Germanic tribes that overthrew Rome were Christians. Nevertheless, the faith grew throughout Western Europe, and the collapse of Rome abruptly made the church the dominant institution in the region. While many people were uneducated during the Dark Ages, itinerant missionaries provided education. This helped Christianity expand. Monks constructed libraries within their monasteries, which quickly served as educational hubs. The Christian church was a unifying force during the Dark Ages, providing Western Europe with enough stability to rebuild following the fall of Rome, even though it did experience division and eventually became corrupt with power. Roman culture persisted even after Rome fell. Even though Rome fell in 476 CE, the Roman Empire had already divided into two to better administer its large area, with the Eastern Roman Empire surviving. Its capital was Constantinople, and the Byzantine Empire survived the Dark Ages by conserving Roman culture for roughly a millennium after Rome fell. During this period, the Byzantine Empire developed, enlarging its territory and absorbing new customs and laws. They failed in their attempt to retake Roman territory in Western Europe. Byzantine culture was retained, but Greek customs predominated over Latin ones, as the Byzantines modified Roman practices to suit their empire. Opening doors for the lower classes was one of these adaptations. With enough effort and good fortune, anyone could become an emperor. One of the most adored Byzantine emperors, Justinian, began his life as a commoner, which gave him a distinct viewpoint that the empire greatly benefited from. He penned the document of Justinian, which combined all Roman laws into a single, easily comprehensible document that has had a major influence on lawmaking ever since. Many individuals migrated west to Italy after the Byzantine Empire was ultimately overthrown by the Ottoman Empire, bringing Roman culture with them. Though many of the old concepts had been forgotten, individuals in Western Europe were still not uneducated. Thus, the Italian Renaissance was sparked by the return of Roman customs to Western Europe, which helped to lift Europe out of the Middle Ages. Numerous ancient Greek and Roman customs have persisted to this day because of Constantinople. Several important works of literature were preserved by Charlemagne's curiosity. Western Europe broke apart into numerous tribes and small kingdoms after the fall of Rome, but this division was not as abrupt as it originally seemed. For many in Europe, life continued much as it had done both before and after the fall of the Roman Empire, because not all of Europe had been conquered. However, in the absence of a centralized government, the irrigation and road infrastructure collapsed. The Germanic tribes dispersed over their chosen regions and engaged in power struggles with one another, but none of them was powerful enough to rule Western Europe. With Charlemagne, that was altered. He ascended to the throne in 768 CE alongside his brother Charlemagne I. He was the first son of Frankish monarch Pepin the Short. In 771 CE, his brother passed away suddenly, leaving Charlemagne the only surviving heir. As king, he quickly drove the Saxons out of Frankish land and advanced into Italy in the south. Within a span of 12 years, Charlemagne had gained control over a substantial portion of Western Europe through his conquests and consolidation of power. He was even anointed Holy Roman Emperor by Pope Leo III, which strained relations with the Byzantine Empire. In order to maintain his kingdom, Charlemagne implemented social and economic reforms in addition to his remarkable military prowess. Two of his most notable initiatives are a revitalization of literature and an emphasis on education. Although only the upper class saw these improvements, his reign saw the completion of artistic and architectural endeavors that had an impact on the remainder of the Middle Ages. Charlemagne copied works of classical literature and absorbed knowledge from the various cultures he encountered, such as the Saxons and Muslims. Because Charlemagne felt that education and reading would, one book at a time, establish a strong country, we still have many of those parts today. Alfred the Great may be the origin of the King Arthur tale. During the Dark Ages, Wessex was one of the 7 principal English kingdoms, and the home of King Alfred the Great. Most of those nations had been conquered by the Vikings by the time he ascended to the throne. Since Alfred was King Ethelwulf's 5th son, no one anticipated that he would ascend to the throne. The Vikings were steadily making their way across England, but he was more interested in literature than in ruling. During this period, each of Alfred's siblings passed away, and in 871 CE, Alfred unexpectedly found himself crowned emperor. Although the major attack occurred in 878, the Vikings did not launch a major assault on Wessex until 876. The majority of the Wessex forces submitted at Chippenham, where they succeeded in pushing all the way. Nevertheless, King Alfred did not. He took refuge in the countryside, gathering followers who remained faithful to him and gradually assembling an army. In the Battle of Edington, where Alfred reclaimed his country, he organized guerrilla-style small-scale attacks against the Vikings and soon gathered a sizable enough army to take the invaders by surprise. The victory over the Vikings was enormous, and after King Alfred's defeat, their King Guthrum even consented to convert to Christianity. Alfred immediately turned his attention to re-establishing his empire because the Viking raids had left devastation in their wake. He urged everyone who had the time to pick up reading and wanted learning to be secure. He paid academics to copy books for his people and instruct him. In order to make the government more effective and equitable for the poorer classes in his realm, the king also reorganized it. King Alfred fought the Vikings when they struck once more in 885 CE. He drove them back in 886 and captured London. As the first king to unite England, Alfred became the ruler of the Anglo-Saxons. He is regarded as the perfect monarch. According to some historians, the stories of monarch Arthur, the real monarch of England who would one day return to govern well, were inspired by his victories and compassion for others. That's all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. To keep exploring ancient history together, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time!